more of that going into our last match of the day. It is Just Saiyan versus Amnesiac, a battle between two former teammates. Amnesiac on Temple Storm, Just Saiyan on Team Radiance. After the picks and the bans, Amnesiac protecting the Warrior, Saiyan protecting the Druid. And again, respect ban for the Zoo Warlock, which is cool to see on our end. I expected a lot of bring warrior or protect warrior, ban warrior strategies, given that control warrior seems to be one of the only few decks that you can bring that's reliable against aggro.
Yeah.
And yet, despite that, it seems like a lot of other people are choosing to ban other things like warlock instead. What do you think?
Well, it's all about what your opponent decides to protect and what you protect, right? He protected Druid, and then after he sees that Amnesiac protects Warrior, it just makes sense to ban the Warlock because you assume that Amnesiac is going to get banned Warrior at that stage. So you're taking away one of Warrior's, one of Warlock's worst matchups, and then Warlock ends up being really good against kind of the rest of your lists. And if you're protecting Druid, it wouldn't make sense to leave Warlock up, right? Because I think it's absolute worst matchup, maybe outside of Priest.
I mean, it depends, though. So, you know, for example, in Europe, the last few series was a protect Druid ban Shaman almost on both sides until you meet Viper, because you don't know what to ban against Viper. So it's banned the Pogo Hopper road away from Viper. That's how weird that series got.
That's the scary one.
But for the most part, it was like a ban Druid or like for the second half of the day. And then, you know, we didn't really see much of that. Warriors seemed to be the ones protected in Americas instead of being banned. And then they're banning Shaman, the Priest, the Warriors, whenever it's left out.
Americas is just way more next level than Europe.
Well, that's a given.
They're playing at level 1. We're playing at level 12. If you really think about it, yeah. So
they're playing at level 1. We're playing at level 1, 2.
Yeah.
That's how far ahead we are.
So I don't think it's fair to compare those.
Okay. Well, we're going into a Warrior versus a Druid matchup. This Druid we've seen do very well. The win rate for Druid today has been great, to say the least. It's the most picked and banned class, just by a small margin, right ahead of Warrior. But the amount of people that have adapted the pick Druid, ban Druid strategy has generally been pretty high.
Yeah, and there's, I mean, just look at the conversations that we've had today and that we've had with players. It feels like everybody's opinion on what the best deck in the metagame changes based on who you talk to. Like you, for instance, said Warrior, and you also convinced me.
You said Druid.
I said Druid or Priest.
And we just heard Shaman.
And we just heard Shaman, and
there's not many more candidates. If you go by popularity of representation, after Warrior, Druid, and Shaman, and Priest, it's Warlock as the most popular, fourth/fifth most popular class.
And I don't think any players will say that Warlock is the strongest deck in the metagame. It just has a pocket in the metagame right now where it's good because everybody else thinks Druid is good. So if you expect a lot of Druids, then Warlock's there to kind of punish those players for bringing a class that's rewarded for not spending their mana. Also, Amnesiac tweeted out recently that he's moved into his dorm for college.
Yeah, you can see with the different background. Our boy is growing up. I left a little bit of advice, which is leave your door open. And I realized I didn't add any context of it. So
I saw that tweet and I was like, Dan.
But it's actually good advice, because when you leave your door open in the beginning of moving into college dorms, that is usually a sign that you're welcoming people to stop by, and that's how you make a lot of friends.
Yeah.
Which I think is step one of what a lot of people don't do.
They
close their door. And then,
but with no context.
Yes.
On a platform where people tend to take things out of context.
No, they never do.
Very much so.
They never do that.
That tweet looks... Could be many different things.
It's purely
aggressive.
I think my university experience was greatly enriched by keeping my door open and letting people stop by and say hi. And a lot of times, many dorms As long as you ensure that you're there, so you're not just leaving it open. People can steal your stuff.
Yeah.
I never have a great experience.
I never lived in a dorm.
Did you go to college?
Yes. I lived at home for my first year of college, and then I moved into an apartment.
By yourself?
With a roommate, but it was a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment. So
I lived in a dorm with one of the most hardworking people I've ever met. It was a Mexican guy that had a new chance at life. He was like almost 30, and he was like almost 10 years older than me.
Wow.
And it was very inspiring because his work ethic, every day he got up at like 5 a.m., would work out and like read literature and philosophy, and then like go and like do his classes, and at night volunteer for community service and come back and sleep at 8 p.m. And I was just playing video games from start to finish at the day. Since he woke me up, I started playing video games at 7 a.m. And then I came back at night and I was still playing video games. He always just made me feel so bad about I always felt so unaccomplished compared to him. And I never got the chance to tell him how much I admired him. So, Jeremy, if you're out there, I don't know if you follow Hearthstone or if this word will ever reach you. I don't even know if you like me. I think he doesn't think very highly of me. Well, I respect you a lot, man.
Since we're sharing our extra stories, I also had a very hardworking roommate, except it was not a very enriching experience. It was a very traumatic experience. He woke up at 4:30 a.m. every morning, but instead he would put on his work boots, steel-toed work boots, and do the P90X workout in our living room while he blasted the same 2 songs by Jason Aldean every morning.
And you have a problem with that?
Yes.
Why do you hate Jason Aldean?
I don't. I just hate... Okay, I hate him a little bit. But steel-toed work boots banging at 4:30 a.m. in the morning to an intense workout that requires a lot of pounding your feet on the ground.
Worse. He could have been a DDR fan. Just think about that.
Patrick, if you're out there...
Thanks for ruining college.
I never had a chance to thank you for motivating me to never listen to Jason Aldean.
All right, wow.
Glad we got those out there.
Saiyan is going to be finishing the quest momentarily. Does have the Innervate Nourish opportunity. Quest Druid can really capitalize on Warrior's lack of early game plays, but Amnesiac's done a pretty good job building it with the Snip Snap onto the Turning Rover. That's one of the most aggressive lines you can take with Warrior. Yeah, Fret and Flunky has an opportunity here for Amnesiac to also press in, but I contemplate whether or not Amnesiac is thinking about Omega Assembly. Okay, so he is. He's thinking about Omega Assembly.
I think you have time.
Well, you definitely have time, but Amnesiac's on a line where he's trying to aggress onto the Druid.
This place is scary.
Okay. Now, do we think about this Ironford Grizzly Druid? Because I don't think Living Monument's a pickable thing in this context. I think Rabble Bouncer comes out very slow. Like Ironford Grizzly.
I mean, this is a lot of board pressure right now.
Yeah.
For 11 damage. Yeah. 11 damage on board. Saiyan's at 21. He does have Quest Complete and Starfall in hand, but Starfall only deals with a portion of this board.
Yes.
The Restless Mummy will come back. If he targets the Eternium Rover, he has 1/1s. If he targets the Ironford Grizzly, then he has that Eternium Rover Snip Snap Death Rattle still that he has to worry about. So it's not clean.
He can Innervate, go up to 8 mana the following turn, and then Wrath. But the 8 mana doesn't exactly do anything based off what his hand is. It would have to be drawing into something else. Starfall seems to be the way to remove the most damage on the board. But like you said, it's not that much. So maybe instead you hit the Wrath and try to bank on the fact that Warrior has a hard time, traditionally, building pressure against it.
Yeah.
So I like this nourishment.
Time waits for no one.
And it's Warrior. What's the worst thing that can happen?
He could Omega Assembly into a Warrior.
Right. But that is an unlikely scenario. Oh! What a rip.
Yeah, and I like to hold on the Floop, even though you're like, oh my god, he's aggressing me. I need to defend myself quickly with this Anubisat Defender. That Floop kind of needs to be saved for something way more impactful to the overall game plan for Saiyan, which is like King Faurus.
That's another thing that Chad messaged us on. Said that it's King Faurus.
Faurus?
Yeah.
Say it again.
Faurus?
Faurus?
Faorus. Faorus.
Faorus.
Yeah.
King Faorus.
King Fae.
Abbreviated even further to Fae. Abbreviated even further to F.
King F. Hey, there he is.
Hey. Not that many spells, though, in the hand group. All right, that helps. 10 cards in hand, though.
Could end up using the Worthy Expedition. I would be hard-pressed to use Faorus in this spot because you have the Forbiddeness Floop. Sorry, I would be hard-pressed to play the Defender because you have King Faorus in hand. Therefore, you could go for the double layer Faorus threats.
Yep.
Is that too greedy, though?
Oh. He's trading a second King F for a random card in his deck, effectively.
Yeah.
Because I don't think this 3/4 is like that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. And the random card in his deck can't be that good, right? Like, I mean, War Druid Lodi, sure.
The Nullifier in this spot seems kind of nutty to me.
Oh, yeah.
It makes it so that Saiyan can't deal with this 7-11 very efficiently. Double Oasis Surger. Whew. It's a lot of green glow.
It's almost too much.
He is at 21. This does look like a King Faorus opportunity. And if your opponent brawls, they're committing their own board into it as well.
Oh, no!
Oh, dear!
Oh, no! That's terrible! It gets former champ from the 5-drop and the Dustfallen Aviana, which makes your opponent next card cost 0, or it makes everybody's first card every turn that they play cost 0. So, yes, you also get the effect, but at the same time, they get the first effect of it, because if you play Dustfall and Aviana, that is your first card played. So, I mean, the one thing about it is it's kind of a taunt minion, but it's a taunt minion that you gain a massive bonus from, because you want to kill it, because I don't think you can afford to give the Druid a free card.
Right.
And
can trade also your 2/2 and use like Dynamatic to help splash the board. It doesn't exactly line up very cleanly, I think.
Yeah, without the rush, it's not very clean. I mean, he might just consider pushing face damage here, but he does leave himself vulnerable. So actually, the Dustfall and Aviana, not a huge punish, because I don't even know if Amnesiac's going to be able to get too much value off the extra mana anyway. All right, well, that worked out nearly perfectly. Wow. Okay. Can double Starfall and trade to leave 2 1/1s on the board.
I wonder.
Yeah, seems like the best course of action here. Has to pretty much just dump the hand.
I mean, he's got so much reload behind this. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, the two X Oasis Surgers are very strong. Okay. I like this from Saiyan too. Save the second Starfall in case.
I don't know. In case of what?
In case he needs it. If he gets like Wardrobe Lodi, it still gets really good.
Yeah, but where's the Warrior's development going to come from? Is what I'm. I guess Dr. Boom or Blastmaster Boom. Sorry. Amnesiac is playing the Bomb Warrior, so wants to have an answer to that potentially. Because this Oasis Surger is almost it's a little bit weaker of a board state.
What now?
Than he would have had if he double Starfalled, and it would have gotten rid of everything. I don't know. I'm torn actually. I guess next turn he can use Starfall to clean up anything, and then Oasis Surger again. So his second Oasis Surger is more beneficial. But Amnesiac is pretty much out of stuff. Saiyan has a lot of stuff. Zephyr's active with 10 cards left in deck.
Yeah, Saiyan's Oasis Surgery here is going to climb really far ahead on board. Join the Claw to even add more damage. Amnesiac's in trouble here.
Yeah. And Saiyan has reload for the next few turns. With Cenaria's Hidden Oasis plus things. Still has a long way to go before he kills him, and Saiyan is not running the version with Chef Nomi in the Druid. Has also used Floop. But if any board sticks, then Saiyan has Zephyrus to kind of help close things out. Bloodlust, Savage Roar, even Tyrion if he feels like he just needs to develop and eventually get that weapon. Amnesiac is not playing any weapon removal.
Yeah, this should be fine for Amnesiac for now. Picks up Power of the Wild. From this position, I wouldn't hate a Tyrion.
Yeah. Tyrion seems like fantastic reload in this position.
Interesting that they offer Gorehound as well. I guess just a high value card.
Yeah. Pretty much picks the highest value cards. And Guardian Kings is thrown in there since Saiyan is kind of low, but he's not really low because there's only one bomb in the deck and he has a Hidden Oasis.
Boom Reaver, Damage Stegatron, and upgradable Framebot. Seems overall kind of meh. Like, without Dr. Boom Mad Genius, the deck is floundering right now. But at the same time, it's also things like Blastmaster Boom that he needs to get to.
He also needs some support for Blastmaster Boom, though, because there's only one bomb in the deck, because there's only been a single Clockwork Goblin played. So Blastmaster Boom, especially without Dr. Boom at Genius, would be pretty lackluster, all things considered. But if this board's not dealt with, Saiyan keeps snowballing. It's just about how much Saiyan wants to play into Brawl, but Brawl's used. So now he can kind of feel free. Especially since he knows the hand is 2 Omegas. Oof.
Yeah, this is looking bad here for Amnesiac. Scenarios coming in, Brawl being used, Tyrion getting stronger. Blastmaster Boom comes in.
It's just 2 boom bots.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like the Bomb Warrior lined up the way it needed to.
Oh!
It's a lot of stats, but Tyrion surviving again is a huge detriment. And it's about to get worse because Saiyan has Oasis Surger and Power of the Wild. He's got, let's see, how much damage he has? 17,
24.
20, 24.
I mean, he can just use his turn to kind of add a little bit to his development, but still make sure he has reload behind just in case.
Saiyan probably thinking about the ways he could get punished if he chose to go all in here.
I like this. This is not all in because he still holds on to Oasis Surger. But it's enough to say if you don't do anything, you're dead. And even if Amnesiac finds a way to clear this board, he's looking at a Ashbringer that he has no way to remove from Tyrion.
Yeah, this is looking pretty close to lights out here. Amnesiac picks up another Frightened Flunky opportunity, but don't know what he's really stalling for. Saiyan does have the Starfall to help push back.
Oh, yeah.
This place is scary.
2 Morden, not enough.
I choose.
That's gonna do it. Saiyan takes the first game. Druid just developing a little too much. And you can see why a lot of players are contemplating banning Druid and protecting it. Same with the Protect Druid. Amnesiac with the Protect Warrior. Both players confident in their Protect decks. And yet it's going the Druid's way.
Yeah, it's really hard to try and do an all-in game plan against Druid unless you're killing them much quicker than Bomb Warrior has the capability to kill them.
Well, he didn't draw his like Wrench Caliber and
He didn't draw Wrench Caliber, his Elec was off-timed, he was kind of like making a scrappy board position, but they have so much ways to stabilize. It's hard to go for that game plan.
Well, we're going to take a break, our final break of this broadcast for today. When we come back, we're going to finish out Amnesiac versus Just Saiyan, as well as the rest of the day.
The shadows are rising again, darker than they've ever been. As evil descends from the skies, the world cries out, how will we survive? Out of the hall of explorers, and up from the dusty tomb, they grab their whips and fedoras. These legends of the past know exactly what to do. There might be magic monsters, mummies in the markets, and ancient mysticism. There sure is scorching deserts, adventure, monster, narcissism. High stakes think annihilation, obliteration of civilization. Now is the time to be brave, evil's come to enslave, but this league's gonna save the world.
My name is David Chan. In the game, I go by Just Saiyan. My username is just kind of a pun, right? But over the years, I think it's grown to mean a lot more to me. Playing Hearthstone for 4 to 5 years, I've probably won like 35,000 games, which means I've lost like 30,000 games. So definitely going back and forth and picking up after every loss. And that's kind of what the anime embodies, right? Is like you lose a fight, you almost die, and then you come back stronger. So being in Grandmasters, especially coming to the summit and everything, it feels like you have just a wide, diverse range of amazing players. And now it's, at least at the start here, it feels like we have a new responsibility to represent Hearthstone, to represent, you know, how fun and competitive that this game can be to the best that we can. So for me, the X factor has to be, I think, just I'm good at finding an edge where other players aren't exactly looking, and then trying to drive as much as I can into that so that I have an even bigger edge at the end of the day. Personal goals for the year: get into the 2 spots from North America to make it to the grand finals this year. I mean, I'm saying this like right after Worlds, but I'm just dying to get back in there, you know?
I'm Will Barton. I'm also Amnesiac, the young savage. I was Amnesia SC for like 3 years. But since I didn't have a microphone when I started playing Hearthstone, everyone was just like, oh, it's Amnesiac. And I was like, no, no, but there was no mic, so I was just like, yes, okay. So I think my experience for Grandmasters was different from a lot of people, because in my mind, there was just never any way I wasn't gonna be in the league. I've been top 5 in points in North America for like 4 years now, or something, 3 or 4 years. I have a big presence online. I think people get excited when I come onto streams and watch them. I'm somebody people can kind of get behind. So in my mind, when they announced Grandmasters, I was like, all right, let's do it. In terms of Hearthstone, I still really think that I have what it takes to be one of, if not the best players in the world. And I really intend to put in more work than I did last year and be more disciplined. I think I got a lot better at using my time over the past year, and I want to apply that skill and show people just how good I can be.
Saiyan currently have 1-0 after Amnesiac drops the game with his Bomb Warrior. Doesn't really seem like too much going on there. Druid able to build up that pressure before Warrior's able to do anything. Part of the reason why Druid's popularity is increasing. One of the few decks that feels like it can crush the Warrior with pretty supreme confidence if they falter a little bit in the early to mid stages of the game. Going to the rest of the series, Saiyan has Warlock and Shaman available. Amnesiac with the Warrior, the Druid, and the Shaman. I think Amnesiac is likely to stay on the Warrior. And if you're in Saiyan's position, maybe that feels like he turns to the Shaman.
Yeah.
That might be what we're anticipating here coming up next.
Seems to be the case. It's the play that makes the most sense for both players. Taking a look at Saiyan's Shaman list. Like it. Only 1 copy of Bog Slosher, which is one of the slower cards in the matchup. It is a little bit greedy sometimes, but I can see why a lot of players play 2 of them, because it is quite powerful with the hero power. You have made +4/+4 in their battle cries, so they have a huge effect. Also playing double mutate, no Earthshock, and 1 giggling inventor. It's every single Shaman list seems to be slightly different, whether it's like former champ, defender of Argus, Earthshock, but kind of cool to see that we're seeing a lot of these different lists. And Amnesiac getting a second look at his Bomb Warrior. Does have Archivist Elysion at the top end, obviously for the mirrors, but other than that, pretty standard Bomb Warrior package. Double Elec, double Clockwork Goblin, double Wrench Caliber with the Blastmaster Boom near that top end.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily the most traditionally standard version. I personally prefer 2 Town Criers. I even debate whether or not I want to have 2 Omega Devastators, maybe 2 Dynamatics. Those are like debatable points. You could go back and forth in between. The main reason why I like things like Dynamatic and Town Criers because I value the early game tempo a lot more as a Bomb Warrior. But it seems like Amnesiac favors the late game because instead he has Archivist Elysiana and a second Omega Devastator.
Yeah, this is very much so a deck that's trying to maybe capitalize on its poorer matchups instead of double down on its good matchups, where he thinks that in the aggro matchups, he has enough removal because he's Warrior to just kind of get there anyway. Where in the slower matchups, he wants a little bit of a heavier punch in the mid game to get there. It does feel like a deck that's really good in the mirror matchup. because Town Crier oftentimes is not the greatest card in the mirror matchup, whereas having all of the taunt package, full bomb package, and Archivist Elysion at the top end is like the best in the mirror.
No doubt. Amnesiac with a better mid-range curve this game, although the Elec doesn't exactly curve into anything. Does want to take care of that evil totem now, though. So what is the best route to go about it? Is it Snip Snap? Snip Snap into the Elec, into the Rich Caliber? Elec first, in case he draws the Clockwork Goblin. More stats on the board.
Yeah. I think the more stats is probably the #1 thing. But it doesn't matter. More stats. Snip Snap would have been better in this scenario. To these exact cards, to be frank, it's not often that's what you play around. But now Amnesiac kind of playing from behind. Does have the Restless Mummy in hand, but...
Well, now the Cobalt Lackey Sandstorm Elemental #2 is a punish.
And gets to keep rolling lackeys.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like Amnesiac was going to kill the Totem next turn anyways.
Sure, but
Reg Caliber.
Saiyan gets to find a fantastic use for his Sandstorm Elementals in a matchup where you often don't get to find fantastic use for your Sandstorm Elementals. It's often used to like push past taunts later in the game with your hero power because it's 2 damage to the full board.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if Amnesiac wants to play the Wrench Caliber or utilize the Restless Mummy, but I think in this spot, Wrench Calibers invest into the best tempo for the future, and it seems like he's going to be playing from behind for a little bit of time.
Yeah.
The nice thing about this attack is that it restricts Saiyan from playing a Flesh Shaper plus a Mutate.
How much Saiyan wants to go in here.
Right. I think he wants to maximize his Battle Cry hero power. So this is a position where he could finish the quest with the Sludge Slurper. But if he picks up another Battle Cry, he might be able to get the hero power and then Sludge Slurper for double lackeys.
Yep.
And then he's cooking.
Yeah, I think he wants to find some battle cry that he can throw in that's not like interrupting his damage game plan too much. I'm thinking Bog Slosher or maybe even like a Mind Control tech. I'd be okay with just throwing away a Mind Control tech.
Sure.
To complete the quest to make sure that you have the quest hero power online for Sludge Slurper and Former Champ. Yeah, even Questing Explorer would be the absolute best because that card's dead in the later portions of the game. So I like the hold on it. This is enough pressure on board.
Yeah, I'm also contemplating Amnesiac should just Restless Mummy and clean up here. It's looking likely. I can't really find too much of a better play. I think Zilliax gets so much better after you play Armadillo. If you don't kill the Cobalt Lackey, you do give bounce effect opportunities for this Quest Shaman to benefit off of, but Saiyan only plays one of those box sloshers.
Sting like a bee.
Former Champ gonna be the play here. Still board development, and you can see Saiyan prioritizing hero power on the lackeys as opposed to Former Champ.
Yeah, the Former Champ, you're somewhat anticipating Warrior to be able to deal with it, given that they do have a lot of removal tools. That being said, Amnesiac doesn't exactly have those removal tools, except for the Restless Mummy, and I think right now is not necessarily the time he wants to use it. Armadillo buffs his Clockwork Goblin, but it's only one card.
What now?
Yeah, the
Is it
Zilliax.
better instead to Dynamatic?
I mean, Dynamatic is super inconsistent here.
Sort of. It does, if it hits twice on the 5/5, you can kill it.
Yeah, but there's 5 other health spread across the board.
Interesting that he swings first. He really does not want any of that to spray onto other stuff.
Well, this sets up for the hot shot from the former champ to die to the Dynomatic without taking any additional damage with the Wrench Caliber. So I like it, but Amnesiac's taken a lot of damage thus far. And he still hasn't found any like board-wide AoEs. This is ho ho ho.
Okay, I think we're just going phase. We're looking for damage.
He could clear off the Dynomatic with the Kobold Lackey. That protects his 5. Blazing Invocation. Nice.
I'm a fan.
Yeah. This is like a Warpath check right here, if there ever was one. Hotshot's 5 mana, so it would upgrade to a 6.
Given that he also has the Flesh Shaper, I think he holds on to it. Oh, okay. The Flunky makes our Megadillo even more appetizing now. But Amnesiac also has Mummy and the Clockwork Goblin. Next turn he can arc Megadillo and Flunky. If he plays like Clockwork Goblin this turn, though, he doesn't have the Ziliax Magnetize combo.
Yeah. And with a buffed Ziliax, that becomes...
Bomb being drawn. Amnesiac doesn't have Blastmaster Boom, which I think Saiyan was anticipating.
Holy moly.
Does Saiyan even have lethal possibility here?
So he has 4 damage with Kobold Lackey and 6 damage with Life Drinker. He's limited by mana. He might be able to set up over a few turns.
Mortals are so squishy.
What is it?
2 Morden.
Oh!
Finds a Shutterwalk. Oh boy, Amnesiac's in for a rough one.
Double the walks, double the fun.
Faces Lackey, summoning more stuff. Truth be told, it doesn't even look like the Shutterwalk's really what's the problem here.
I mean, if Amnesiac manages to deal with everything.
Okay, finds the Warpath.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, this Shutterwalk can just be played to generate resources.
Sure.
He probably is going to want to play like 1 turn of Life Drinker Sludge Surfer. 2 more, nice. Like Life Drinker Sludge Surfer this turn and roll into Shutterwalk on the following turns, because there actually is a chance for lethal here from Saiyan who picks up double Kobold Lackey. I mean, that's
Very
really close.
6 from the Life Drinker, 4 from the Lackey, that's 10 damage. And Amnesiac holding onto the Clockwork Goblin Ziliax is a combo that he's been holding on to try and reserve for a bounce back potential. I mean, having the Omega Devastator is slightly more stats, which might prove to be useful, with Ziliax being a 5/4. That's a 9 health bounce back for Amnesiac. This Restless Mummy, Ziliax combo is also fantastic.
Barista might be on his mind.
Yes, I think that is something we learned a lot of lessons about.
Because if you Omega Devastator Ziliax, Saiyan gets to bounce back Kobold Lackeys and Life Drinker.
Right.
2 of each. Which is a 20 damage.
Amnesiac's picked up on that. Also has a Mega Devastator post Shutterwalk.
I must choose.
It's definitely killing the Kobold Lackey here out of the 2 choices.
Well, Sludge Surfer can get 2 Kobold Lackeys back from Barista.
Sure.
Actually, can get 4 Kobold Lackeys because you hero power Barista and get 2 Sludge Slurpers, which each get 2 Lackeys.
Okay.
So I actually think Sludge Surfer's better there because there's also the Ethereal Lackey outs that you have to worry about as well. So if you Burst is on your mind, I think Sludge Surfer's definitely the better choice. And again, Saiyan continuing to load up this Shutterwalk. Weaponize Waft.
Oh, so close. Okay. Saiyan landing on some lackeys that aren't that great.
Yeah. So it looks like weaponized Wasp here on the Ziliax and just push the 1. Just inching ever closer, and Amnesiac's having to use so many resources just to stay alive. Nothing's furthering his game plan here. He's got a 1 bomb in the deck, but Saiyan's at 30. I don't see a way that Amnesiac wins this, because it's going to keep going like this, where Saiyan keeps presenting a board, Amnesiac keeps dealing with it, and eventually it's just going to get out of control.
So, Saiyan sitting back and thinking about it. Could dig deeper with the Novice Engineer at this point. The Shutterwalk has a decent amount of battle cries in the pool right now.
Yep, has both Sludge Slurpers, both Evil Cable Rats, both Novice. No, 1 Novice Engineer. Life Drinker, former champ. And Weaponized Wasp, which is active.
Amnesiac keeps getting hit by the Cobalt lackeys.
Mutate.
Sting like a bee. Always little
Ooh. Ho-ho! But then he can even mutate at the end of it all.
Dump a Mutate on Shutterwalk. Bring it up to a 10. How about a Colossus in the Moon?
Yeah.
Yeah, Brawl
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
even
gonna do it.
begin to save him here.
Saiyan crushing Warrior twice in a row, and perhaps the statement that Monsanto said in the interview, there's more to it than more than meets the eye.
Yeah.
Shaman could be the best deck in the game if we really see it being played out in that fashion.
Yeah, it does have some weaknesses, like early on in the game, as we saw made clear in the Rogue versus Shaman matchup that we saw in Monsanto series. But even then, he had set up a 2-turn lethal. So if Zalay had not killed him exactly on that turn, he was dead. So very much so on the edge there. But Warrior struggling today. Shaman and Druid seem to be the 2 decks that are having the most success, at least at first glance.
2 of my
which is,
favorite classes.
yeah, it is pretty sweet. 2 quest decks nonetheless.
Let's go ahead and check in with Saiyan, who is the winner of that series. Saiyan, you there?
Hey, I can kind of hear you guys. It's a little quiet, but hey, I'm here.
Hey, Saiyan, can you hear us?
Oh, no, Dan, come on, man. Okay, I can hear you.
Jeez.
I can. Yep,
So hot.
that
So,
did it.
what'd you
Thank
think about that series we had? Sorry, it's a little loud in here.
Quest decks were pretty good. Pretty good. The new age of quest decks, man. Dr. Boom isn't good enough anymore.
Really? Okay. A lot of people are saying that Warrior's still very strong and that Dr. Boom Nerf didn't do much. So you're saying you feel the opposite. You feel like it's not even that great.
Well, it's still good, but it's harder to play him for 9 mana, right? Like, Dr. Boom on 7 closed out a lot of games. Dr. Boom on 9, when you're being pressured, it's kind of hard to get to.
Right. It feels like it runs into the same issue of like the Elysiana situation. It's like, obviously you'd want to play it, but you don't get the easy convenience to with the less mana flexibility. Saiyan, talk to us a little bit about Druid and Shaman. We've heard some people calling those 2 classes the 2 best classes in the game. Do you agree with that sentiment? It's first impressions. It's the first week of the patch. But we want to hear your opinion thrown in the mix here.
You know me. I want to like build a counter strategy most of the time, right? So everyone tweeting out that they got rank 1 with Quest Druid this week, right? And it's like very obvious that most people are going to have it in their lineups. I really couldn't find the counter, right? Like there was nothing that felt good enough that could match its power level and still give me like a good matchup spread. So in the end, I ended up bringing those 2 decks myself, right? Because they simply are kind of the strongest decks.
Okay.
For now.
For now, until we can figure out something else, until we play Buansam the Priest. I beat you to the chase, TJ.
That was going to be my question. You took it.
Thought about it. Was it hard to practice winning so much arena on the side there, Saiyan?
I think Arena was a little bit easier for us. I mean, Muzzy carried Casper and I, but we were pretty tired after playing Twitch Rivals, so we didn't get too much time to prepare this week. Like Casper, Muzzy, and I called to talk about the deck list that we were going to bring, and we all brought different lineups. Partially because we have different opponents, but at the same time, I think we had a hard time agreeing like what the best fourth deck was overall as well.
Sure.
So definitely kind of an up in the air kind of week for us. It's one of the first weeks in a while that we haven't agreed on like what makes the most sense against the field. So
Right. Muzzy bringing the Rogue, for example, a pretty big difference from most people, even in the region.
Yep.
Talk to us a little bit about going up against Amnesiac, former teammate. I mean, it seemed like you guys even prepared with each other, even despite not being on the same team. Was there anything special about this victory, or was it bittersweet because he is a friend?
It's true we did prepare together. We had 4 of the same classes, but we tech them very differently because Amnesiac has a different secondary opponent than I, and I think he even told me like, hey man, I'm gonna bring Bomb Warrior. I'm like, yeah, but I have to bring Control because I'm facing Zalay. I know I'm gonna be like slightly unfavored, and that was okay. Right. But we hashed out as friends basically. Like we prepared together against our other opponents a little bit. But it's kind of a bittersweet victory, I would say. He's heading off to college. He didn't have as much time to look into things. I think my decks were slightly better teched. His were a little bit greedier, so he's actually favored versus me in the mirror. So just got a little lucky with the way the quest decks panned out, and they drew pretty well.
Is there any insight that you can share to his comments on Twitter last week when he said that he is motivated to be the best player in the world, which, of course, I think a lot of other players, including yourself, are gunning for?
Yeah. Let's say things change. You get into college, you start enjoying a different kind of life. Like I said on the response to the tweet, 2 weeks max before Amnesiac sets his sights on other things.
That's right. He's on his own. Freedom for the first time. Independence.
That fleeting 18-year-old personality.
Saiyan remembers 7-8 years ago when he first went to college.
Wait. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Saiyan, how old are you? 25?
26 now.
26.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Nice math, Dan. Great math, actually.
That's why they hired me.
Yeah.
All right. Saiyan, any final words? You're the last match of the day here. It's Friday night. Anything?
Close us out.
Anything you want to say?
Just thank you to Radiance, and watch out for Muzzy and I throughout the week. I think we're off to a pretty good start, so watch out for the Radiance boys throughout the season. Plan on topping.
5-0 to start off week number 2 here. Congratulations, Saiyan. We'll see you later this weekend. Good luck to Muzz.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
All right. So Saiyan win the arena tournaments for Twitch Rivals. Of course, it was a really contested series, event back and forth, really fun. I'm a little biased. I helped organize that. But good stuff all around. TJ, let's wrap up the day with our post show here. It's been a long broadcast back and forth, but in the end, we had all the players on the right today take the victory.
Yeah, a little bit of a theme there. And also we had a lot of the undefeated players, or at least the 2 undefeated players that played today, keep that trend moving along with Frozen and Saiyan. And Muzzy is going to look to continue that trend. Tomorrow for Radiance, as Saiyan mentioned. Also, we have a bunch of players that are still looking for their first win. Gallon included.
Gallon.
He'll be playing tomorrow against Strivecro in the very first match. But PNC also wasn't able to find a win today at 0-3, and Zalay also wasn't able to find a win today at 0-3. So we have a few ends of the spectrum there as far as early season performances here in Grandmasters.
That's right. Another match to pay attention to. Muzzy versus Firebat. Muzzy looking to see if he can continue Radiance's 5-0 streak to start off Season 2. Firebat, the only Reno mage that we'll be seeing from Americas. That's quite the interesting curveball from the fact that mage got nerfed super hard, and yet some people decide to bring it anyways. If you look at Asia Pacific, for example, they're still about the Reno mages and the Reno hunters. Very different story in Americas.
Yeah, and Yarla as well in his winner's interview early on in Europe said that he brought Reno mage. He doesn't think the deck is in a super good spot right now, but that it's still really favored against Warrior. So he had it. He put it in his back pocket for Warrior, which he ended up winning against some aggressive deck. I don't know, which was kind of mind-boggling. Rogue, I think.
Well, you don't really
against
need
Boston.
Pocket Galaxy against aggro decks.
Yeah.
Let's get that clear. Reno Mage, when you build it in anti-aggro fashion, still actually does a really good job because guess what? Reno is great
Absolutely.
versus the that's the card that you won, not Pocket Galaxy on 5
Yeah.
against aggro.
Yeah, and another matchup we get to see tomorrow is Eddie, who is the only player in Americas to not bring Warrior this week. Instead,
Snaps ready.
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if that's going to pay off for him. Eddie has been performing very well over so far in season 1 or so far in season 2, and of course back in season 1. So curious to see if the non-Warrior strategy is going to work out, especially now that we have a day of playing Grandmasters on the new patch and Warrior is struggling.
All right, well, it's been a really fun day of broadcast here for all of Grandmasters in week number 2. If you missed any part of the broadcast, I want you to check out the deck list. Look up the player storylines yourselves with the schedule. Go to playhearthstone.com/esports. But for now, we're done. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Pacific, twitch.tv/playhearthstone. We'll start it all over again and find out what is going to be the deck that's on top at the end of this weekend. Frode and TJ and all of us here in Studio 5, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time for more Hearthstone action.